Welcome back to another outstanding episode of Square Table Degenerates podcast. Today we are joined by pro wrestler Mr. Erick Redbeard, also known as formerly known as Erick Rowan, and in real life Joseph Ruud, which is an awesome name, if I do say so myself as a fellow Joseph. How are you today, sir?
I'm doing good. How about you?
I'm doing okay. It's a little warmer today. I'm up here in Cleveland, so kind of getting sick of the cold. We had snow a little bit last week, but it's finally coming to an head now, so it's all right. Where are you joining us out of today?
Minneapolis.
Okay, so you're still in Minnesota. So that answers my first question. I'm assuming the internet told me you're born in Minnesota, in Minneapolis. So have you been there? I mean, aside from traveling for wrestling, did you grow up there? Been there your whole life?
Oh, yeah, I grew up there, here for most of life, and went down to Florida for a few years with developmental there. Didn't like it. Too hot, too sticky, that's what the summer months are for. I like to have the four seasons, and Florida never had that.
Oh yeah, I'm a big. For those who know me on Facebook, I always rant about Florida because Florida people act like it's not expensive as hell and how to shit down there all the time. But when you were growing up in Minnesota, did you go play ice hockey all the time and go ice fishing like everybody else, or what were your other hobbies growing up?
I like to snowboard. That was my winter hobby. And I think the last time I went snowboarding was like my senior year of high school. I did like a method when I started to do like tricks, and some little kid came out and skis in front of me and ended up tweaking my knee a little bit. So I kind of stayed off it because I started, doing football and then wrestling. So, but I need to get back into it because I kind of miss doing that stuff.
Oh, that's pretty interesting. Did you have any favorite snowboarders growing up? You like big fan of the Flying Tomato and Sean Palmer and those guys, or who your favorite snowboarder?
It was fun watching the Olympics and seeing the Flying Tomato and stuff. But those X Games and like just seeing all the tricks that they would do was so cool to me growing up. But I could never do any of that.
Oh yeah, because I would love to go snowboard, even skiing. But man, my balance and issues, I would fall down and break a leg the first time out there. I bet. I mean, it's a little different world on the snowboard. I'm just not a balanced guy. Now, were you a pro wrestling fan when you were growing up?
I mean, what kid didn't know what Hulk Hogan, Andre the Giant, that grew up in the 80s, but I remember having like toys, like those little rubber action figure things that didn't move, in that had this big ring, but other than that, like I got out of it until like my junior, senior year of high school. I started watching like around 99, 2000s when I started watching again, and that's Kane and The Rock and Steve Austin, and it kind of got you back into watching it. And then said, I think it was like a couple of years later, I was like, I might as well try to do this. This looks fun. I think I saw a guy like Test, and he was like that guy's like 6'7", 6'8", like 275 pounds. I was like, give this a shot.
It's funny you mentioned the Hogan Andre thing, because that was actually going to be my next question. What do you think you would have done in the spotlight? Say you were the Hulkster against 93,000, in front of 93,000 people at the Silverdome against Andre. How would that have felt like at any point in your career?
I mean, I was in front of 101,000 people at the last time WrestleMania was in Dallas against The Rock. So it felt pretty cool. Though it didn't last as long as I wish it would have. But I kind of get a sense of that feeling now.
Nice. Would you have taken the sweet ring cart all the way down, or would you have walked a mile and a half from the locker room down to the ring?
I always joked because I have deep Viking heritage and roots. I always joked about getting one of those the Viking ships and like going out in one of those wheeled cart Viking ships.
Just storm the ring. All right, we got a question from Jamie. He says, howdy, who's a wrestler you haven't wrestled yet that you'd most like to get in the ring with?
Ooh, so got a couple. Kota Ibushi in Japan. I want to get in the ring with him. And Moose.
What? Remind me of who Moose is.
He's the Impact champion. So he's got the world championship with Impact Wrestling.
Okay. Forgive me. I'm not the diehardest of diehard. I do got to look up the stuff. The brain goes in and out. I smoke a lot of weed, and it's, how it is when you're a dad. There's all kinds of things going on. So if there's something I have to clarify, just forgive me. The chat usually takes care of it, anyways. But what did you do after high school? Did you Any thoughts of going into the service? Or did you go right into college, no matter what?
Right into college, played a little college football, and got sick with the respiratory virus, very similar to what the symptoms are for COVID now, and kind of switched to wrestling out of that. My mom was so happy, quit college. I'm gonna, work full time at a gentleman's club and become a professional wrestler. That's the Minnesota way, I guess. Like the Road Warriors and.
Oh yeah, well the Road Warriors had the one guy played for Ohio State too. Jim Laurinaitis' kid. I think his name was Jim Laurinaitis. Actually, a linebacker for the Rams. He was great. He was great at Ohio State.
You always hear stories of these wrestlers getting their starts either in football or not having any money and bouncing and wrestling. So that's kind of route I went.
All right, we got a question from Carla. This is she wants to know. My son Joseph wants to know how old you are.
How old I am?
Yeah.
I feel young, but I'm at 40.
All right, 40s. He's a spring chicken. I'm 45. So he's older than me. All right, we got a question from Paul's Beer Reviews. He says, what happened to the Wyatt angle in WWE? It was awesome and should have lasted longer, in my opinion.
Booking.
It was all booking? Usually how it goes. We're gonna get into some of the Wyatt stuff later, for sure. Hold on, Paul. We'll get into some of that for sure. Now, when your early days, what were it like? Were you driving to places like Sioux City, Iowa, doing it for $75 in front of a high school gymnasium, or what was the first days like of your wrestling? How'd you get into it, like initially?
Oh, definitely. It was working around the Midwest for next to nothing. There'd be some promotions where you'd work for $20 just for the chance to work in front of guys, but it's funny. The first time I spent money, like outside of the actual training, I think I did a Harley race camp that he had in Eldon, Missouri. It was $500, and for an independent wrestler, $500 is a lot of money. And I was like, yeah, should I do this? And I was like, okay, I'm going to do this. And I drove out there with Beer City Bruiser, who used to wrestle as Dinty Moore. He was an ROH, and so we went out there together, and I trained for a week, spent the money. I think Simon Dean was the WWE talent relations guy at the time that was out there, and Pro Wrestling Noah was out there. And my blood work didn't come back because at the end of the camp, people are chosen to wrestle on the show. I got chosen to wrestle the show. My blood work didn't come back. I guess I didn't have one sheet of paper I forgot from Minnesota. And when you're in a different state, it's kind of hard to get that paperwork on a weekend. So I couldn't do the show, but luckily Pro Wrestling Noah liked what they saw. So my investment on myself paid off, and I went and lived in Japan and did a couple tours out there and trained with them in their dojo in Tokyo for 3 months. So that $500 ended up paying off because they also paid me to be out there.
Nice. So, we actually jumped ahead a little bit. My question is actually about Japan. What made you feel the need to go to Japan? Was it just the style of wrestling? Did you like the culture? What was the deal with Japan?
I think Japan's got such a rich history in wrestling, especially when you have Americans going over there. You had Stan Hansen, Bruiser Brody, and then the who's who of any wrestler wrestled in Japan. And, the thought of going over there was high on my list, actually maybe higher than any kind of WWE at the time. So, I was very grateful for that opportunity to be there and learn from there. Plus, Misawa was the head of Noah at the time. Kento Kobashi was just coming back from cancer, so he was training in the same, dojo that I was in. So to be able to even talk or listen to words of wisdom from him seeing me on Noah's television and giving me advice, I mean, that shit, meant a lot, for a young wrestler coming up.
Now, did you get to interact with the Japanese public? I mean, would you like? I mean, you're like 6'5", 6'8", something like that. You're a nice tall white dude walking around in a land of everybody where the average height's probably like 5'8" or a little shorter. I mean, what is that? Did you stick out? Did people stare at you? What was that like?
Yeah, I had a lot of people want pictures with me, which I didn't understand. It was new to me, but I guess I was just like a attraction. Just you look at this guy walking around. I didn't have the full beard I have now. It's like a little tiny bit, but I guess was something you didn't see every day.
Now, did they feed you? Or did you have to go out in town and get food? And what was there any food differences for you in your diet over there? What was the food like?
Food was a little different to be eaten, but we had every day we trained and we'd have chunko soup, which is lots of rice and then there'd be like veggies and the stew and broth with lots of meat. So, they many bowls of that after training, and they kept you fed. There was always rice in the cooker.
Nice. And in line of this, a couple Pokemon fans of the show. Did you get into Pokemon at all? If so, what was your favorite Pokemon?
I couldn't tell you the first thing about Pokemon.
All right, my son wanted me to ask that. He always asks me to ask a Pokemon question. All right, we got a question from Blake TV. He says, what was it like to tag team with Brody Lee? Also, were you a fan of Bray Wyatt's Fiend character?
So tagging with him, it was like it just clicked, and I don't know how it clicked. We were put together. We both wanted to be single stars. That's the way it works. Everybody wants to be a single star. Not everybody is going to get the opportunity. So, especially I think when after our first run with the Wyatt family, when we started doing the Bludgeon Brothers stuff, I think that's when we clicked the most as a tag team, because we kind of put away any kind of like animosity we had towards each other because of what we wanted to do, that we worked together to create. And by that time, our chemistry was so jealous. We always had great chemistry in the ring, but I think once the Bludgeon Brothers stuff started, like, not only was that friendship there, but the chemistry was there as well. As far as the Fiend character, if you watch back any of the later Rowan stuff where I had all these different masks, yes, I'm a fan of that, because I tried to pitch something very similar to having all these different masks and having it all be a split personality, and every mask would be like a different side of that character. So I loved the fact that he was able to do Funhouse and then the Fiend. I liked that back and forth. Did I like the Unstoppable Monster? No, I thought that was silly. But that's wrestling. But you got to beat somebody in wrestling in order. You got to have the babyface beat somebody. There's no unstoppable anything anymore.
Oh, no, not at all. I'm going to jump ahead because you touched on the mask, and I had a mask question. My daughter wanted to ask me about it. She's 12, because she was, when that mask was big, she was like 5'6", and that mask, that creepy ass sheep mask, you just come out of nowhere and then boom, creepy sheep. And I mean, you would see it in the audience everywhere. Did you at first think that was going to be effective? You're thinking a sheep mask, this is ridiculous. But did you have any idea it was going to be so scary? There's adults who were scared by that mask. What's your thoughts on that mask? I mean, its effectiveness.
I had that in my trunk when we filmed the vignettes. We were told not to use it, and we were adamant we wanted to use it. So, because we knew it would be effective. And it was. So, and it was a pleasant surprise.
Nice. We got a question from Hell Yeah Kimball's Barbecue. He says, "Hey Eric, what is better about AEW than WWE? Love AEW, brother."
I mean, there's always stuff better. I mean, it's like having different flavors of ice cream. You got your chocolate ice cream, your vanilla ice cream, your maple pecan. I mean, there's good and bad things about everywhere. But wrestling's wrestling at the end of the day, and it's fun. It was anywhere's fun.
Yeah. All right, we got a question from Paul's Beer Reviews. He writes, "Was wrestling something you always wanted to do? I bet football coaches all wanted you on the team, right?" He's from the UK, so.
Oh, I mean, I loved football. I just didn't like. I don't know. I had too many broken fingers. I was on the line, so I didn't like breaking every finger every day and having to work the next day with broken fingers. I don't know if you ever broke your fingers and then had to keep performing with it. Like, wrestling's different. Yeah, you get aches all over your body. You tear something, got to keep going. Yeah, it sucks. Nobody wishes any of these jobs, and that's what they want to do. But I had fun with football, but I got too old.
What I didn't like about football is just a constant practice. And back in the 90s, man, people don't realize how it is today. I mean, nowadays it's whatever. But back then they used to just run, linemen especially, we just run into each other all day in practice, all day. By the time practice.
I bruise easily. So my arms were constantly just black and blue.
All right, a question from Mike Cruz. He writes, who was your toughest opponent in singles or tag team?
Toughest opponent? Man. Man, I don't know. I mean,
that's an acceptable answer. Shit. I mean, it's.
I can say the strongest guy is probably Cesaro.
Cesaro's so underrated, man.
I mean, he's just got that old man strength. I mean, he's not old, but just that strength that you don't expect.
Right. Like out of nowhere, like a old sensei from a dojo or something. The old school strength. I feel like Bruce Lee or something.
Just sort of, with a stalling suplex on you, and he's counting, or he gives you the swing,
love the swing. I love it.
Like a rag doll, Plus, I've seen his teeth go up through his mouth. Like, he's a tough dude. So, I guess you can say him.
Okay. All right, we got another question from Carla. Her son Joseph wants to know, what is your current favorite WWE wrestler?
My current?
Yeah.
I mean, I always have love for Big E, and my heart's out for what he's going through right now. And I hated seeing what I saw, but he's my favorite, up there right now.
Nice. All right, we got a question from Halo Squirrely writes, we have all heard that Meng Haku was the toughest guy back in the day. What do you think is truly the toughest guy you have met in the business?
I mean, you got to say Brock. I mean, I don't know who's tougher. I mean,
he killed it in MMA. Now, say you had to do MMA, could you physically? I mean, you've had a lot of injuries. I was reading up, and my goodness, you were hurt quite a bit. I mean, do you think you could train up to do something like him? Or maybe not now, but maybe even when you're younger, say 30, could you get up to that level, or is that just such a different training style and fight regimen? What are your thoughts on that?
I mean, I've changed my training up so much the last month that I say anything's possible. I mean, I've already cut down almost 30 pounds in a month, and I've never done that before. So I would never say never. If I committed myself, sure. But yeah, you have so many injuries. It's like, I don't know. I don't know if my body's, the DNA is cut for that. I saw Don Fry the other day. No one's tougher than that guy. So I don't even want to pretend to have what it takes. Oh
yeah. All right. A question from Leprechaun TV. He writes, who do you like better, Hogan or Flair?
Does it have to be one or the other?
No, I can say whatever you want. I mean, you can talk about both what you like about both of them. It doesn't matter.
I mean, never meet your heroes. I don't know. I mean, I never really got into Hogan. I never got into Flair. I was always like the weird big guys, like Big John Studd. I loved watching him. George the Animal Steele, like those guys in that era. Nikita Koloff, like these big, Baron von Raschke at the Claw, like these big monsters of men, not the pretty boy or the beach boy. I mean, no, that's just kind of like my flavor of what I was watching.
Oh yeah, big old tall dude just going there and maul you. Big John Studd would just beat the crap out of you with his ham hocks and just kill it. I loved it. All right, we got another question from Squirrel. He writes, sorry I'm late. What was your first gimmick in the WWE? What was your first gimmick in WWE? Should you have been able to choose, or did you get to choose your first gimmick coming in WWE?
So I'm glad it was the Wyatt Family. That worked out great. I mean, nice. I pitched being a Viking character. So the Viking writers, I hope the best for them, but it doesn't seem to be working right now. So I'm glad it was the weird, creepy cult.
All right, we got another question from Lep. It says, do you eat Slim Jims? If so, Can you do a Macho Man impression?
I'm terrible at the Macho Man. Snap into a Slim Jim. Oh yeah. Like,
oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
All right. It says Jamie's from overseas too. He's living in the States now, but it says, have you ever thought of playing rugby? We have a spot for you on our team in Albany, New York.
I'll watch and have.
That's why I'm with rugby too. It's like rugby is like football without pads, and it's you can go out there and get some bones broke. But from what I see, like, I mean, it's a different style of hitting though. Like when you're wearing pads in football, you're going to hit a lot harder than if you're hitting with rugby and all your bones and muscles feel it. So it's just a different style of playing.
Oh yeah.
All right, we got another question from Blake. He writes, "Are you a Jim Cornette fan? Also, have you ever met Scott Hall? It's sad to see what has happened to him the past couple days."
I like Jim Cornette's, like, he makes his living off critiquing everybody that he's never met or never worked with. So it's kind of hard. I never like to critique people unless I've worked with them. That's my only 2 cents on that. The Scott Hall thing, it sucks. And, you know, you hope that there's a miracle that happens and, you know, he pulls through. But you know, he's lived a rough life, and I just don't know what to say. It's terrible.
Yeah, I mean, it happens sometimes. All right, what is your favorite band right now? Paul's Beer Review wants to know.
I mean, Amon Amarth is always at the top of that list, you know, that Viking metal. But you know, I've been kind of listening to Ragnar Zolberg and Solstifer. Just nice mellow music. Icelandic band.
Okay. One of the 250,000 people in Iceland. I'll have to check it out. All right. We got a question from Squirrel again. He writes, "What's your most embarrassing moment in wrestling? Your Shockmaster Fred Ottman moment, if you will."
Carrying a cage.
Carrying the cage?
It's pretty embarrassing. But
all right, we got a question from Blake again. He writes, "What was the deal with the spider in the box? Was that a Vince idea?"
I mean, does it look like my idea? Again, we as wrestlers get written into shows to do stories and tell stories and have these storylines. Your job is to perform these stories to the best of your ability. And it's no different to going in onto set like, hey, I'm gonna act out a scene. You don't say, no, I'm not doing this. I mean, it's your job. You do it to the best of your ability. You pitch different things. If it doesn't, you know, work out, then it doesn't work out. But you know, you do it to the best of your ability, and that's what you get paid for.
Oh yeah. All right, Jamie wants to know, have you ever been to the McMahon Mansion? I don't even know if McMahon has a mansion, but is that a thing?
No, just the jet.
All right. Squirrel wants to know, do you keep in touch with Wyndham?
I don't think anybody does.
Okay.
He's a hermit.
Okay. I remember when he first came in 90. He was first coming over from NWA back then. Now it's WCW, but over to WWF, and he did that Widowmaker gimmick. That was so awesome. For some reason, I just love that gimmick. You would just come in, Widowmaker. It was great. All right, now let's get into. Well, actually, we talked about that first getting. How did you first hear about the WWE? Was it like a Tough Enough thing back then, or how was kind of just you just worked your way up through the Florida Championship Wrestling and got in, or how does that work back then?
Oh yeah, there was Florida Championship Wrestling, so it was their developmental at the time. So, and that was around 2011, and then we were on the road by 2013, full time, just go. All
right, now we already talked about the Wyatt family stuff. Now we got to talk about this match with The Rock at WrestleMania. My wife actually went down there and saw it down at Claremont Arlington's, and like you said, 103,000 people disputed. Who knows, give or take? But I mean, AT&T Stadium's huge where the Cowboys play. For those who don't know, and I went back and watched the match before I was preparing for this. It almost looks like, to me, you can correct me if I'm wrong, The Rock was almost looked like he had a sorry look in his face. It's like, man, I'm sorry, I got to end this so quick. Like, did he say anything right before you did it? Like, man, I'm so sorry for this, or has it quickly ended?
No, but funny story considering that it looks like Stone Cold's coming back to Dallas for the next Mania. I think it was the next night where I'm walking like through all the thing. Jericho's talking to Stone Cold, and Stone Cold looks back at me and he's like, 3 seconds, kid. They couldn't give it any more. Like, so I hope he gives Kevin Owens more than 3 seconds.
Now, I read a statement about WrestleMania 32 that it kind of stifled the future at the expense of the past. Meaning, like, guys like you could have got the push instead of, the past from The Rock, because at the time they're trying to, bring back fans, nostalgia thing. Would you agree with that a little bit? Or what's your thoughts on that?
What's as far as
bringing back WrestleMania 32 itself? Would you say that they were, like how you lost The Rock so fast, and then, other things about the whole card? Was that kind of at the expense of future talent they did that card, or was it just whatever at the time?
I think that it just lowered the stock of the Wyatt family, that particular angle. I didn't care about doing the job in 3 seconds. That's fine. If you watch the tape, I get right back up. But the fact that there was 3 of us, and Cena comes back, and the 3-on-2 even beats Braun, Bray, and me up, and like, to me, yeah, it's cool, but like, it would have had a lot more impact had we been able to get something on them and then have a feud. But like, those things with his Hollywood stuff, like, it never would have worked out. But like, you wish you would have got some sort of like feud out of it, but for spotlight thing, you can never say bad, but it's bad publicity, but
Right. We're getting news that it says somebody just says Scott Hall has just passed away. So rest in peace, Mr. Scott Hall, for sure. Now, was it true that you were the Rock's last wrestling match?
I think so.
That's pretty cool. I didn't really realize that until I was looking it up. That's pretty wild when you think about it.
Well, I'm sure he'll come back for one more. He can't have the last one against me. I mean, you gotta have it against somebody that can fight back. now, something like the Royal Rumble. I get into some Royal Rumble stuff. I've never actually asked too many people about the Royal Rumble. But do you find out the number? I mean, obviously, besides the the first guy, last guy, whatever. Do you find out the numbers like right before, or do you just kind of everybody stand in a room and okay, you go out next and you go out next, or how does that kind of work? Some are more organized than others, but yeah, you find out like how many people you get to eliminate. Like, it's pretty well, like, you're getting eliminated this many. Some people don't get eliminated anybody. Like, there's a list, and I mean, I think wrestling's had the veil lifted on it, so much. Like, I just like to be surprised when I watch things, but nowadays it's so hard to be surprised because you can't even look at your phone without the surprise being given away. I think that's why I was happy with the AEW thing, because like, there was no word or surprise. Like nobody knew that I was coming out. Like, I like that. Like, it wasn't given away. And there's so much in wrestling now just given away. Like, hey, we're having a new debut. I'm going to find out who it is. Like,
now, how does that work with like? There's so many dozens of thousands of wrestling shows and insiders and like that. But like, when news breaks, do they purposely release tidbits to certain people, or is it just all about who knows who in the company and who friends?
I think so, because I don't know how else they get this information.
Yeah, I mean, I guess unless you're in the meeting, you wouldn't really know it.
I mean, if people get cast into television shows and movies and it stays a secret, it's because nobody's giving it away. So,
that's
like,
true.
what's the difference of this? Because somebody that works there is giving it away. It's the only way.
Very true. All right, we got a question from James Adamson. He writes, how long does it take you to grow that beard?
I don't know. I've only grown it once.
How long did it take you one time?
I mean, after 3 years, you stop counting.
Okay. All right, we got a question from Paul again. He writes, are you the biggest guy on the roster in AEW? I'm not assuming if he's biggest, like in terms of tallest or what?
I mean, they got Paul White. I mean, that's the Big Show.
Okay, so he's not bigger than Paul. He's not bigger than
him.
Not bigger than Captain Insano. All right,
Captain Insano.
That's my favorite thing. Is it Waterboy? Captain Insano, do you have thirst? Now, do you prefer working like in those big group matches, where you can just kind of do whatever, or do you like the more, one-on-one scripted matches? Might have everything scripted, I guess, but you maybe get what I'm saying, like where you get more freestyle, you just kind of do whatever for a little bit, as opposed to everything's dictated, or does it really matter at that point?
To me, it doesn't matter. I mean, it's fun. To me, the older I get, I mean, yeah, those 6-mans are great. Easier on your body. You have time to rest, or control your breathing. But no, man, like all wrestling is fun to me. Like I love tags. I love, singles. I love like Extreme Rules matches. Like I love all these different types of wrestling. It's fun. But yeah, I don't know. It's still, you still get hit.
All right. No, that's a good segue to this question. No, in terms of like the Extreme Rules and matches like that, was there any match that was really, in hindsight, like this was, scary because, it was like a tables, ladders, chairs, you fall from a big spot or nails or something like that? Any match where it was like afterwards, like, wow, that was pretty wild?
I mean, I've torn my bicep in matches, and like, I think stuff like that's scary. Like you tear it, you tear it, you finish the match, you don't know how. And I think the scariest time was like, I knew I tore it. I knew I had to have surgery. And then they said, hey, you think you could do one more match? Okay. I think doing that one match, that was probably scary because it's like, okay, I'm down one arm and I need to perform and not hurt anybody. I need to perform all my moves. I need to perform my moves safely to people. Like that's scary. That's a lot of pressure. So that was a scary match. I think that was the Bludgeon Brothers' last match together. And that was the SmackDown when we lost to New Day. I think we were working Kofi and Woods in some street fight. So that was a scary match in that sense because I didn't want to hurt it anymore. But I think we just went balls out, and I just had it taped up really good and didn't think about it. But I know there was an Inferno match that I was nervous about because we were on the outside and they were putting gel on me and Brody's beards to make sure that we didn't get set on fire. So that was a little scary.
It's great, but flame retardant all over your beard so you don't catch up fire. I love it. Now, I'm going to talk about WWE for a little bit. Now, how did you release from the WWE? How did you hear about it? And at the time, did you kind of feel it was coming? It was writing on the wall? Did it shock you a little bit?
I mean, yeah. I mean, it's a shock. But because I was used every week. Like, it wasn't like I was sitting at home. It wasn't like I was sitting in catering. It's like, no, I was used consistently my whole run. Like, I never had long periods besides when I was hurt that I was out. So yeah, obviously a surprise, but that morning of the releases, we all got a group message from the chairman of the board talking about how the world's changing. There's a great recession happening and COVID's, causing havoc or whatever. And they were going to do some, releases during the day. So, obviously a surprise, but, the next day I get a call from David Arquette to do a movie, and I kind of stopped worrying as much. but yeah, man, it's obviously scary. But then there's so many people that lost their job. It just sucks when something you work so hard for, you just got rugs taken out from underneath you when you think you're doing well. So when it happens to a lot of people, and I think wrestlers are just kind of were stuck in the spotlight. I think a lot of entertainers, period, suffered during the whole height of COVID.
Oh, I mean, the whole world changed. I mean, you couldn't have not been affected by it. I mean, no sporting events for pretty much the whole rest of the year. I mean, it was different. I mean, in our lifetimes, we're never going to see anything like that in terms of change. I mean, in my opinion, at least, it's a totally upending thing, man. Crazy. I mean, it's geez. Now, can I ask you about Vince McMahon now? Because I got to tell you that story real quick. Jacques Rougeau, remember the Mountie? If you ever heard of the Mountie, remember him back in the day. He told me that after he was released, he didn't talk to McMahon for like 25 years. Now, he has such a reputation of hard to work with. First off, did you, as he contact you at all since you've been released? And is his reputation well deserved? Why does the man get such a hard reputation to work with?
I don't know what the deal is with that. How many people talk to their boss on a regular basis? Like, not that many. And we have friendly text a few times a year. Like, it's like, what else do I expect? I mean, like, it's like, I'm not trying to go out and have dinner with the guy. Like, so I don't know why he gets the reputation he gets. Because how many people is he putting feeding to? He's got a multi-billion-dollar business. Like, I'm not going to talk crap about the guy. Like,
oh yeah,
but
okay.
I don't know why people do. I mean, he's somebody that helped feed you and whatever. But move on. Like, use your talents for something else. Use your talents somewhere else. Like, there's plenty of places to spread your wings, and there always has been plenty of places to spread your wings.
A great answer, actually. All right, Paul Paul Bear Review says, who would be on your list of favorite wrestlers you have worked with?
I mean, Brody. Daniel Bryan's up there, Dean Ambrose, Roman Reigns, Big E, Kofi, like the Usos, Malachi, Alistair's, high up on that list. I always liked working Pac, Neville. There's just so many, like Kane, like all time, like just one of the best. Rey Mysterio is great to work with, easy. Like, there's just so many guys, man. Like, I can't even remember all the guys I worked. Like Tyson Kidd, Cesaro. Like, I could just keep going on and on and on because there were so many good. It'd be hard pressed to say which ones did I hate working.
Right. You seem very laid back. It seems like a laid back list. So it seems like you like more hang out with the more chill, laid back locker room guys as opposed to the real strict regimen guys. I mean, just judging by your Viking style, that's what I would assume at least.
Right.
I mean, a question from El Doof III. He writes, do you think people with disabilities could wrestle?
I mean, Zach Gowen had one leg and he had a little career, so I don't see why not.
Yeah, I mean, like, depending on the disability, for sure. Yeah, I remember Zach Gowen. I mean, that was actually one of the most shocking moments, most low-key shocking moments when he went out there and I can't remember who it was, but they whacked his leg out and they found out it was a fake leg. I think it might have been DX or something like that. That was a crazy moment.
I think he wrestled before that for TNA as Tenacious Z.
Okay.
And he had the one leg and he would just hop and do springboards and just it wouldn't hinder him at all in the ring. So, yeah.
All right, I got a question from Blake. He writes, who do you think are the stars of the future? Any favorites? MJF?
I like Wardlow. I think he's really good. I'm thinking about guys that are coming up now that, I mean, obviously everybody's got a chance. That T-Bar guy, I liked him before that as Dominic Dijak, but is he going to get the opportunity to be himself, or is he going to be the T-Bar gimmick? So I can say this, but some people only know him as T-Bar and don't know him in his work as Dijak. So there's just so many talented people out there, and it's just I think the future of wrestling is in really good hands. Like MJF he's a great heel, but I'd like to see him work in a setting where can he get that heat without the expense of the middle finger to little kids. I'm just curious. How would that work? I'm just curious. Because he's great. He's a great heel. He's fundamentally sound in the ring. Everything he does, so I'm hopeful for the future of wrestling. But at the same time, let's see.
For sure. All right, we got a question from Robert. This is actually kind of interesting. Is the blood real in wrestling, or is it just show blood, like blood capsules and all that?
I mean, all the blood I've seen in the ring is real. So
okay.
I've never seen somebody take a blood capsule. I mean, I'm sure, you know, there's been times where somebody's like bleeding from the mouth and they use a blood capsule to make it look like they got hit in the stomach. But like all the blood I've seen has been, you know, real.
Okay. Now, what before you got into started doing a little bit of AEW stuff, how did it feel go back into independence? Was it kind of refreshing for a little bit? Did you like having controls over your own stuff there? Do you do your own booking? Do people come to you? Is that kind of like a total culture shock, or was you just welcoming with open arms kind of thing?
I got my start in the Indies, so like I'm used to it. Plus, wrestling's an independent, you know, stuff, and I love house shows like with WWE. So I loved, you know, the Indies are basically just house shows. Like, you know, you get a small building, small venue with tons of, you know, little kids and families, and like that's a great atmosphere for wrestling. That's what made you fall in love with wrestling. So I love doing those shows. I still love doing those shows. But yeah, man, I have an agent, Doug Lawson, that helps me book stuff, you know, and sometimes I have relationships with other bookers and I book it with them too. And I have another guy that helps me too. And it's just, you know, it's kind of just hands free. Just don't think about it sometimes. Just where am I going? So that's easy too.
Okay. Now my wife was asking about this Control Your Narrative event you got coming up. Is this it's EC3's promotion, right? Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay. Now what does this consist of, and was it purposely scheduled during WrestleMania? Or I think it's WrestleMania weekend, ain't it? Like the 31st?
Yeah, it's the only wrestling event I'm doing during WrestleMania week. Like I'll be doing the conventions and WrestleCon, but I'll be doing the CYN event. It'll be from what I was told on the paper. I see that, you know, what happens when me and Braun are on opposite sides. So whether or not I have teammates or whether I'm on my own, we'll find out. But to me, wrestling is wrestling, no matter what you call it or how you sugarcoat it. So, you know, as far as what the narrative is that you're trying to tell, or the story they're trying to tell with the CYN, I don't know. But I wish I had a better answer for you, man. Like,
wow, so you physically don't know. You physically don't know what you're even going to be involved in the card with. You just got to show up and they kind of tell you.
Pretty much. I mean, the only thing I was told was it'd be something to do with me and Braun.
Oh wow!
Or
Braun Strowman. Is Braun Strowman taller than you? Who's taller out of the two?
We're about the same height.
Okay, about
I like to joke and say he always had to stand closest to hard cam, so he appeared bigger.
Now, this is a random question I just thought of, but since you're 6'8", can you, or at any point in your life, can you dunk a basketball?
I mean, I can dunk a basketball, but do I like jumping up in the air and landing back on my ankles? No. That's why when I throw a drop kick, I just fall down to my stomach.
All right, we got a question from Blake. He says, this is a good one, actually, I think. Who is stronger in your opinion, Cesaro or Mark Henry?
So I only know old man Mark Henry. So I have to go Cesaro.
Okay. I would rate that too. Now I got a question about, this is random, about just the storylines and, like, you know, a lot of this stuff. You know, they keep bringing back the same guys over and over, Goldberg, etc. I'm not expecting you to talk, you know, smack by anybody like that. But do you think some of this is speculation on my point, but like this little bit of the staleness in some of the storylines, or they really don't like taking risks. You know, they are taking risks in places like AEW, you know, the CYN stuff and like that. Do you think we're going to see a return to the territory days? Is that feasible in your opinion? Or do you think it's just going to be just McMahon all the time until McMahon, you know, is no longer here type deal?
I don't know. And if you look at wrestling across the board, I feel like everybody's fighting for the same fan base, and there's barely any new fans being brought on. And I think WWE sometimes fights for that old fan base to come back. But when they come back and they don't see the Stone Cold and they don't see the Rock and they see this new group of talent, I don't think they want to stick around. And that's not a knock on the talent. I think it's just a knock on the fan base you're trying to pick up.
Now, do you think that they're kind of a little handcuffed by places like NBC and Peacock and all the agreements? Because there's a lot of people who crave the old Stone Cold and the beer drinking, the cuss words and middle fingers and all that. And if you're out here doing, PG-13 and most stuff, a lot of the dude bro crowd, the 20s and 30s males, they're not really going to get into it because it's not really the risque stuff they're used to. Do you think that's a kind of a handcuffing issue, or do you think that's just the way of the world now?
No, it's just the way of the world. Plus, PG-13 or not, Stone Cold's still going to throw up the middle finger. Stone Cold's still going to drink the beer. But now instead of just the beer, it's the IPAs. So, gotta be a little hip,
Oh, yeah. All right, Robert has another question. He says, I have a question about my age. I'm 43, and I was wondering if I could be a wrestler at my age.
I mean, 40, and I feel like I got a lot of years left, so I don't see why not. I guess it all depends. What's your athletic level? What kind of drive do you have? Are you ready to eat a lot of crap?
All right, we got a question from Hell Yes Kimball Barbecue. He writes, Cradle of Filth or Metallica?
Metallica.
Metallica's a great band. One of my favorites. All right, so now I got some time for some non-wrestling questions here. Now, your wiki bio, somebody asked this earlier, but I was saying it until this time. It says you play guitar in your free time. Is that true, or is that made up?
I play guitar in my free time, but I'm not a classically trained guitarist. I'm not like I taught myself. I'm okay at rhythm guitar. Am I a lead guitarist by any means? Hell no.
All right. Now, on that note, what band, or do you like acoustic or electric guitar better?
I love the sound of acoustic, but that's just when I play it. Because I'm not the best solo, like I can't do the cool ass lead licks that some of my favorite bands do. So I don't even pretend to play electric. I mean, I learned on electric. I tried. I wasn't the best. My acoustics sounds way better. Just because playing chords on acoustics sounds way better than playing chords on the electric.
Oh yeah. I mean, well, if you think back to all the classic songs, I mean, any of the ones you're really into are usually acoustic. I mean, not that there's not good electric guitars, but acoustic pops when you're, it's trying to mellow out. Now, what band, if you could play for any band guitar player of all time, what band would it be?
What band? I wouldn't want to. Yeah. I wouldn't want to screw them up, man.
It's a great answer, actually. Great answer.
I mean, what band would I want to be a roadie for? Probably.
Yeah, that's a good one.
D.
Tenacious D would be fun, Jack Black and everybody. All right, we got a question from Squirrel. He says, what's your most recent tattoo?
My most recent tattoo is my tattoo of Brody on my leg. I got a tribute piece. I'm sure you can pull it up somewhere. It's on my leg. I'm not going to stand up and try to show it, but it had her hammer on it. It says Brodir, which means brother in Old Norse. And it also had his mask that he wore during his time as a bludgeon. So just got like a little tribute piece for my brother.
Oh, nice. Good. Well, speaking along the tattoo lines, do you have any, this is a kind of an odd transition there, but do you have any wrestling memorabilia yourself? And if so, like, what is your favorite piece of wrestling memorabilia? Like an autograph picture or a picture of you with somebody? Is there anything, you got anything like that?
I mean, I think the only memorabilia I have is maybe just my own, like all my different masks. I have Brody's mask that he wore with the bludgeons. My buddy who made the hammers, he made me a replica hammer of the Bludgeon Brothers. So like just like stuff that we've had and collected, I think means the most to me. I'm not gonna be collecting a bunch of gear. I think the only thing I have that's outside of the realm of collector stuff would be a signed Bill Mosley chop top action figure made out to me. Well, that was pretty badass.
Nice. Now it's Girl Scout cookie season. For those who don't know, if you're out there and you want Girl Scout cookies from me, you got to act like next 10 days because they're at shortage this year. But what is your favorite Girl Scout cookie?
Oh man, what are they? The samosas.
Samoas, yeah, Samoas. That's probably the hottest seller. I would say the Samoas are probably
Samoas or the peanut butter ones.
Tag-alongs, yeah, that's probably my second favorite. We were talking about this last week, and I think my Thin Mints are probably my favorite now, just because I like the difference of the dark chocolate. It's a nice casual break from all the constant sugar. Not that there's not sugar in there, but I know what sort of care is involved in your beard besides obviously just shampoo and conditioner. Do you like any product, any kind of beard lotions or oils, or do you just kind of brush it out and go with it?
Every now and then, if it gets too dry, I put a little oil in it. But other than that, just comb it and comb the gnarls out, and I just let the natural whiteness come into the fray.
That's the way you got to do it, because if you start dyeing it, and you got to stay up with the dye, and you're going to naturally age anyways. If you start dyeing it, you're denying your age. I mean, so I definitely agree with that. Now, do you follow the NFL at all?
I mean, I know Kirk Cousins just signed a $35 million deal for a 1-year extension. 1 year. What's that, 11 games if they don't make the playoffs? That's crazy, but good for him.
So would you say you're a Vikings fan then, or just just because for the Minnesota thing?
I mean, I'm a Vikings fan in the sense that when they're winning, yes, I watch. When they're losing and not making you happy, you just tune out and don't even think about it.
Yeah, because Tom Brady is. Did you ever think in a million years somebody like Tom Brady is to go like 45, come back again and play 23 years? I mean, it's almost mind-boggling. It'd be like Ric Flair, Hulk Hogan just wrestling all the way through, and so I guess it's kind of like Sting almost. So I mean, compared it to that,
I feel bad for that second-string quarterback for the Buccaneers, who he's really looking forward to this year and this being his big break. And
I think the backup was Blaine Gabbert, which is funny because he's just been a backup his whole career. But on that line, it's funny that you mentioned the backups because, like, for a while there, he was backed up by Brian Hoyer. And Brian Hoyer's from North Olmsted, Ohio, where I'm from. He went to school right down the street here. And they showed that he signed another extension for like 2 years, $2 million a piece. And they were showing his career earnings were like $35 million for his whole life just being a backup. I mean, just a great job. If you could be a backup quarterback, that's probably the best job you can ever get out there in the world. At least I'm thinking. Now, when you remember when Lesnar tried playing for the Vikings, do you think at any point
I attended one of those games? I was
really?
watching the preseason. Oh yeah, Denny Green was the coach.
Nice. So that's actually a perfect question. Now, were you guys out there? Was at that time was the crowd like wanting Brock to get him? Were they chanting? Were you guys really into just the Brock aspect of that, or were just kind of whatever game?
I saw him in a preseason game because I think that's all he did. So I think those preseason games, had a little bit extra buzz, and he had the '69 jersey, taken. They were selling them, which is funny because he was practice squad, selling jerseys. So obviously they were capitalizing on his name, but no, man, cool on him for trying something outside his wheelhouse.
Okay. All right. We got another question from Squirrely Rights. Who gave you the biggest unexpected potato?
The biggest unexpected potato? Man. I got a concussion and it was in Europe somewhere, and it was Xavier Woods. So Xavier Woods, most unexpected, biggest potato, and I'm gonna give it back to you one of these days.
I love Xavier. I love that. Those guys seem real fun. Are they goofballs off the camera? The whole I can't remember the name of the. They're real fun guys. The Bootios guys. Oh, they're hilarious. Biggie. Hopefully Biggie gets well soon. That was when I hear broken neck, I instantly freak out, man, because I think of people just being paralyzed or whatever. I'm glad to see that he has all feeling and all that. That's got to be scary as hell, man. Oh my gosh.
Oh yeah.
All right, Left TV wants to know, what is the pinball game behind you?
Nightmare on Elm Street.
Nightmare on Elm Street pinball game. How long you had that for?
3 or 4 years.
Okay. All right, a question from JB's Hangouts. He writes, in your opinion, what is the most dangerous move in wrestling? Besides, like, the obvious, stunts, I'm not jumping off the top of the Hell in the Cell or anything like that. But
any kind of pile driver. And I say that from experience.
What was your experience? I have to ask.
Just some whiplash getting it, but it could have been way worse. But I'm just saying, anything where a guy has no control over his own bump and he's landing it towards his head, there's no need for it.
Now, is it true that they banned the pile driver after a while and only the Undertaker was allowed to do the tombstone? Is that the case, or was that just speculation?
I mean, nobody did it, but nobody ever said I'm going to try to do it. So, whether it was banned or not, I was never gonna try to do a pile driver because, first off, it's not going to look good because I'm going to protect you, and when I protect you, your head's not going to hit. In this land of HD, like, why take the risk? I mean, unless it's the finisher and this guy's not getting up for forever.
All right, we got a question from Tom. This is kind of generic. What is your favorite food?
I like sushi.
Sushi, interesting. Is there any Japan connection there, or is that just random?
I mean, obviously Japan's got some really good sushi, but I just like different types of fish, and sushi tastes really good.
Now, the show's a Cleveland-based show. Have you had any memories of wrestling at the Rocket Mortgage Fieldhouse or up in Cleveland, or is it just another stop on the tour for you?
Quicken Loan Center?
Yeah, it started out as Gund Arena in '94, and then in 2001 it was called it was called Quicken Loans Arena. We called it Q for the longest. It just changed to Rocket Mortgage Fieldhouse.
I don't know if I have any specific memories. Was Clash of Champions, the pay-per-view in 2019, was that at Quicken Loans?
I don't know, honestly. I think the last one, God, what was the last pay-per-view here? I think the wife actually went to it. I can't remember off the top of my head. It was there's a pay-per-view. What's the one with they don't think they have it anymore, but it was car-based because they were running like the same weekend as Daytona, maybe Fastlane. I think that was the last one we had here in Cleveland.
Okay. But yeah, specifically, it's hard for me to remember towns unless I remember Elimination Chamber only because it was in my hometown of Minneapolis. But the Hall of Fame out there's cool. I like walking through that.
Oh yeah, Rock Hall's right down there. I work actually a block up from that Federal Building. We got a question from Blake. He writes, do you prefer American style or strong style in Japan?
Professional wrestling style. Just period. Like it's all the same to me.
Yeah. They're paying you, just go out there and do it. For sure. Yep. All right, we got a question from Colette. She writes, do you have any pets?
We have a dog at the house. He's a pit box mix. His name's Kai.
Kai, nice. Does he do you give Kai human food or is it straight dog treats?
Dog food.
Dog food. Okay. I give dogs whatever, man, because dogs really like steak and pizza. I mean, the one dog we had was his name was Smokey. He was a German Shepherd. He lived 15 years, and I gave him everything. He used to eat like trash, but he loved it. He loved the food. I mean, it all depends on the dog breed, I guess. All right. Let's see what else we got. All right. Are you on Cameo at all?
Yes.
Have you ever had any crazy Cameo requests, or what's going on with nothing?
They're all pretty normal.
Okay. All right. So what do you think the future holds for you? Just kind of whatever comes up, or you got any immediate plans or anything else to promote besides the upcoming wrestling shows?
I mean, you can check out Ghost of the Ozarks. It's a film I did with David Arquette, Tim Blake Nelson. It's available on video on demand or through Apple or Amazon. It's called Ghost of the Ozarks. Otherwise, you can catch me in Mayor of Kingstown on Paramount Plus, and that's the Germany Renner television show. And I have a couple other things come out I can't announce yet, but when I do, I'll post it to my social media at Erick Redbeard on Twitter, at Erick Redbeard on Instagram.
Good stuff. Well, I'd like to thank you, sir, Mr. Erick Redbeard, Joseph Ruud, for coming out. Appreciate it. And if you join us on Friday, former Brown safety Javante Moffitt's going to be on. It was a pleasure, sir. Thank you so much for coming out, and we'll talk to you later.
All right. Thanks a lot. Pleasure.
All right, thanks.